I believe that one of the most difficult changes that one can do in life is like changing their own environment. And I don't mean just moving states, moving cities, moving countries. I mean actually, um, creating a different space for themselves. And that's what actually needs to happen in order for you to actually change. Because if you bring that same mindset that you had when you were broke in your house and just doing the things that you used to do in that new environment, let's say that you change city and you're going into the inner city, then things are not going to get better. Like you are actually going to fail even harder, um, because now you got that upon that upon that. So what needs to actually change, like what makes it easier when you are outside, is that it removes the choices, it removes the options, makes the whole flow much easier, because you either survive or you survive. There are no many other options. Like it's at that point it's like you're fighting for your life, literally. And so I would always wonder if it's possible to have that change while still being in the comfort of your house, in the comfort of your yes, of your house, of your own city, and with your own family, because we know that it can be extremely brutal having that change and having to do the things that you said that you would do with all of these um, added variables. It's already hard when you are taking the variables away from, you know, when you're taking out all those variables. So I'm guessing that it's even harder when you factor those in. But as hard as it is, I would also hope that possibly make me or someone else a much more resilient person and more convinced to the things that they have to do. Like families witnessing changes, like in real time, and that is hard. That's a lot of pressure on you, that's a lot of pressure on them as well, because they're also on the receiving end of it. They won't understand why is it that you are um, just dedicating months of your life to one specific things. Why is it that you have not given up to the stress, to the anxiety, not asking yourself what is wrong? And yesterday I had a great conversation with a woman of faith, with a woman of faith, and she was basically describing about her whole life and her family's life, and how truly by faith she was able to overcome the obstacles, and how that had been that had been um and that her mother had this gift, that had this strength to her, and she needed the same strength. Actually, she asked double her strength, because she knew that she couldn't be able to do it. And so she took you know whatever thing that she had left of her mother, and decided to just go out there and just pursue and go, and pretty much um dive deep into the unknown. She did not expect what her life was going to become like, and that was scary. And things that are a success do take scary and risky actions. And if you don't risk it in your life, you're never really going to succeed. It's part of the equation. That's a common denominator that I've seen, many people's also, dealing with different things. Many people who are successful in different areas of their lives, And it just comforts me, the fact that we all have been in a place where putting yourself out there absolutely did not make any sense, and you're like, why am I doing this? Like, why am I literally doing this? And yet you still do it, and you keep pressing on. And again, I just want to take one of Alex Hormoz's examples that he took from a book. I think it was his book. I don't remember correctly, but I do remember him reading off of a book, and he was reading about these dice, and these dice having different sides, some of them red and some of them green. The more you roll these dice, and the better the chance that you got to actually get some greens. And once you get one green, then one side that was red turns green. And so the more you roll, and the better the chance to have all greens, and then to succeed every time that you roll dice. And he was also talking about this other person that would see like this friend of his just rolling a dice and getting greens every time, so basically always winning. And they would just throw a couple of times and it would turn red, and as you know, red does not get to anything. And so and it, after a few times they would just stop and then wonder why they didn't succeed. They compare themselves to the one who already got lots and lots and lots of trials, lots of reds before actually getting to greens, and they don't even know, they didn't ask like, how many times did you roll that dice? And so we got this very entitled mindset. And as I was listening to that, I was also thinking about one of the characters from the Bibles, one of which would be Cain, Abel and Cain. And Abel basically was just doing good. We don't know what he was doing, but the Lord was appreciating it. We don't know if he put in more work. We don't know if he put his whole heart and soul, but we do know that the posture of his heart was better positioned. Like, he knew what he was seeking for. We knew that he was not attached to the outcome, but he was committed to the process and releasing the outcome to God, most probably. Whereas Cain, he was just he was sad and angry and mad because he kept comparing his outcome to Abel's outcome. And so this comparison, this mindset, led him not to want to, led him to have this hatred towards Abel, and that led to the first homicide. In the Bible. And he was, what we do know, that whether or not their technique was better or worse, one was putting in more work than the other, we don't know that. But we do know that the posture of his heart, the posture of Abel's heart was different from the posture of Cain's heart. And Cain's was definitely comparing his own outcome, was blaming Abel, instead of asking Abel, hey brother, like, how did you do it? How did you manage to just get all these resources, get all these, get all this? How did you manage to get all this and be blessed by God so abundantly? He could have asked that. He could have asked God even. Well, we just know that he kept it to himself. He kept blaming someone else, and then, eventually he ended up there. And so it's just committing to the process. This is the hardest part, and be willing to fall on your butt. And this is something that I have to always constantly remind myself, because it's so difficult to fail in public. It is so not like I don't think anybody likes or enjoys being made fun of. But eventually it happens, especially when you just, when you're doing things, when you're learning, especially when you're learning and you're learning in a space where everyone is ready to judge you. You have to expect the judgment also, because that very judgment, if taken seriously and taken, and if taken correctly, can lead to precious feedback. And so yeah, and so that's it for today. And I do wish for all of us to have a different year next year. Like, I personally do not want to see myself in the same place that I was in yesterday or a year ago. Like, I want to see actual change, but for you to change, you have to have different actions, you have to do different habits. It cannot be possible for me to be a different person with my old habits. And so I've got a few things that I need to get rid of. I don't say eliminate, but get rid of, or better yet, substitute, in order for me to be able to be successful, because it's just about making the path clearer instead of like adding more stuff and more gunk in this in the chaos, basically. So yeah, if you liked it, please subscribe, like, and comment, and see you next time. Bye.